How are you all doing? Ralfy here, Ralfy Customs. I'm in the middle of a fucking hailstorm and I don't mean the British fucking rock band. So it's really loud my end. Anyway, we're back on with our mixed Triumph. Let's get some bits made and get it all set up on the fucking jig light. So first things first, we have the headstock held. I've got to tighten that up, like, but we've got the headstock held where it sits in its holder. Engine's on here. Get a bubble on it. I'm just roughing it up with my angle block to make sure that it's not too fucking pissed up, and then we'll fine tune it when we actually get it in place. Like, I've got a spreadsheet that tells me how far, what this gap is like. So that's on the ones I've done previously. If I want to go longer or shorter, there ain't really room for shorter. If I want to go longer, I can do. I've got a datum there to work from. Excuse me. And then we'll get the swing arm jigged in place. But we've got to make some bits for it first. So we have a cunning plan how we're going to use this Dyna swing arm because it matches his wheels. We may well end up replacing it with a shop made one, but we can use it for the purposes of this, making the frame and all that. The thing is, the Dyna ones, I'll try and show you on mine. The frame runs in the middle of the swing arm, so it tightens onto the middle, grips itself in the middle, if that makes sense. Now, we're not going to do that on this, I don't think. I think we're going to have rails either side, so we're going to mount on the outside of the swing arm with these bad boys, yeah, that are roughed out. So they're going to sit in the frame, and so on and so forth. We'll see how it pans out. I'll get the headstock on and get it through the right length and the right angle of the dangle to get his ground clearance, and then we'll look at positioning the engine properly, positioning the swing arm properly, and making the bits for the frame and the swing arm this end look. We might have to make a new spindle and some other bits and bobs, so that's going to be quite interesting. Okie fucking dokie, so there's the headstock on its 35 degrees. We've got the ground clearance that we need, 7 inches we're going for, which seems a lot, but it's not, because we've got a swing arm going on. We've got some bendy, boingy, boingy action, ain't we? So the time the exhaust's on, you don't want to be decking it out. And we've got the swing arm in place, all centralised up and squared up in the right distance. From my archive of measurements, that's slightly longer, but I want some clearance here because I've got plates and shit, and I'm really considering the centre post action method used, but not yet, don't know yet. So now we centre the engine up, yeah, through the centre cylinder, down that bit of string. It's not quite central, it needs to go that way a bit. And we check the drive line. We make sure that this runs. We put the straight edge down the sprocket. Sorry, I'm not filming it very well. Straight edge off the sprocket. Make sure that it runs the right distance in from this edge, where the end outside edge of the sprocket is. Fucking use your mouth, Ralph. Use your words. And we also square the motor up with the angly this way and put something through, something like this. We'll go through there and measure front to back, make sure it's the same both sides, sort of thing. We'll find a datum to get that nice and square. So there are reference points. Is look for engine in the middle. Might not work because we're not using the standard swing arm. Check for drive to see that the chain's going to line up with the sprocket. Make sure the engine's square and plumb and true, and then we can tack little sprags around it, little blocks, pieces of angle iron or whatever we fancy wedging in there, look, so it can't fucking move on us while we do the deed. Okay, let's get you over here, look. What's the glare off the LED strip light? Sorry about that, these cameras don't like them, but that's what we've got so far, yeah? We've got the engine squared up and levelled, plumb and true. We've got the headstock where it needs to be. Let me move that. Just fuck that off over here, look, my little anvil, so I don't destroy it on my endeavours. And we have the swing arm mounted with it, the pivot at the right height for the sprocket. Now, I would normally make that exactly the same height as the output shaft on the gearbox there where the sprocket's on, but I've pinched a bit, I've gone down a little bit. These Triumph sprockets sit well high. If you've ever done one, you'll know they sit well high in the gearbox. You know, from the sump, bottom of the sump to that output shaft is fucking ginormous. And I don't want the swing arm fouling here because this is not the original swing arm. There's no slipper on it. We might have to fit one for the chain, so on and so forth. So I've just dropped it a quarter of an inch. I've got my second super duper straight edge bit of string on here, and I've worked out where it sits, which is at that chalk mark, which means the sprocket on the wheel here, this is not the sprocket, but it is a Harley sprocket, needs to come this way 10mm. Now I think we're going to make an adapter that bolts on there and takes the standard Triumph sprocket, because they're very different. That'll give us the 10mm. I've spoke to Mick and he's on board with that. That'll be a lovely bit of engineering. So that means that, barring the shouting, I'll double check it's plumb. I just want to make sure it's not fucking rocking side to side. I would normally again find a good datum, but there's fuck all flat on this that you're going to trust. I've got this which runs through. I know I can put an angle finder on there. Yeah, make sure it's on 0. Some jobs you can take the transmission cover off and use the sprocket up and down. There's always something. There's always a something, isn't there, to make sure you're true. You could even bubble off the fucking rocker box if you really had to, which I still might do. Now, because of this offset drive, because the standard Triumph back end is a lot wider than this Harley based back end, yeah, we've had to shove the motor that way a little bit, which is absolutely fine. So it's just hanging out the right hand side by fuck all, just to split the difference, because we can't get a massive spacer. We can't space the chain off the wheel and have it cut in the fucking side of the swing arm out. It can't hang across the swing arm like, can it? If you know what I mean. So we're almost ready to look at putting a bit of box section across here, across the bottom, running the front rails in, catching them front engine mounts, putting the backbone in, seeing where his tank comes that he's bought. He's also come with a seat, which I say never ever try and build a bike around a seat. It's a fucking nightmare, but he's got something like the idea of a seat that he'd like to use, and we've got the shockers, so they can dictate the back end. So really, the main thing now is working out these swing arm mounts. My initial thought was to use them bosses on the frame with a countersunk and a spindle that sits inside, very much like all the Japanese guys do. I will have to make another sleeve for in here. That won't do it. Yeah, that's not, it needs to be longer, obviously. And then make a tube so that you've got something to tighten onto both sides. So the shit like that needs working out. Or I could do a centre post with a boss sticking out each side that this wiggles on and then pulls onto, you know, with a hole through it, the whole lot, like with an hole through the whole lot, or this bit hanging off the back of it or something. So that's where we're at. I need to definitely fit these up, machine these out, to take the spindle, maybe make a spindle, maybe make some spacers for in there, yeah, and see what's what there.
Don't forget folks, our fuck stock stickers are now available in our Etsy store, link in the description below. fuck stock, you know it makes sense.
Okie dokie, next up then we've cut the backbone and give it a quick polish with the old fucking tube polisher. Bit of 400 grit on there, well it's worn out 400 grit just to clean it up a bit. And we've cut the box section, which is going to run under the frame, just below, directly below pretty much the swing arm. We've got the backbone cut the right length. We just need to work this height out to make sure that we're going to be right for a seat and all that shit, and clear the fucking back wheel and everything. So that's next on the agenda, is to trim this off like you've seen me do loads of times so it fits the headstock, bare fucking scalloping and coping they call it, don't they, and get this in and work my heights out, and then we can tack this box section to the bench and that will give us something to get the front rails in off, and then we've got the cradle in pretty much. Then we can look at addressing the swing arm, and I think I have a cunning plan. Righto, by the power of TV, we have these front rails, look. So we've worked that out, we've bent them up, and they sit just Pt2. What we need to do now is offset them to miss the exhaust and catch these mounts, so they're going to actually sit out more like that. Yeah, so we're going to make a bend. Ooh. We're going to make a bend somewhere around here, and we're going to send it that way, which will then cock the end of this tube out to somewhere like that. Yeah, so nice and wide to miss the exhaust, give us plenty of space to mount the radiator. I might even, I was thinking about pulling them back a bit, making them a bit tighter in, but I don't think I will, because we need room for the exhaust and the radiator. So what I'm going to do is measure this, mark it up or measure down from the end so I can duplicate it on the other side, and then sit this out. I'll use my split rule that I've just put away for some fucking reason to work the angle of the dangle out for this kick. It's nothing like that, is it? It's more like that. Yeah, for this kick, and go from there. Like fucking, so I tripped up then. Like so. So we've got that kick out. It is sticking out too far, although it can stick out quite a bit. We're not bothered by that, but we need to trim it off, don't we? We need to cope it into the headstock. So we know 45 degrees at 17 from that end, square to this, 90 degrees to that, so we can replicate that on this side. 17 down, square to this, 45 degrees, and that'll get us a matching pair of front rails for the loop-de-loop. Here we go, look, and as if by magic we've got the matching other side. So as I say, what I'm going to do now is chop it off basically. No, it needs to come off like, try and eye it up for you, like this kind of angle, flop over, and then probably trim this kind of angle. I want to keep them quite wide on the headstock because it's going to fall over a lot. I've got it really precariously fucking held. Just for demonstration purposes, let me pull it out a bit at the bottom. Yeah, stay there. Because I want to get room for one of these in, obviously, my trademark fucking brace. And then we could either do the front engine mounts, which I probably will, or work out the swing arm mounts, which I probably might. Righto, pop pickers. So we have, get out of them glary lights. I don't know if they're any better. Probably. We have the cradle in. Yeah. So we've put this top head steady, I'll call it, although it's not really, is it? This bracing bar. Got that in an inch. An inch tube's what we're going to use with the engine mounts here, and inch bosses, which we're going to go and turn in a minute. So they're trimmed up, tacked in. I've left them long at the back. I'm not sure what's going on there. I might trim them off and plug them or join them to something. I don't know yet. Not worried about that. Future Ralph can sort that out. You can see me working out on the fucking bench, look how far back that mark is from the front and how far in the rail is, so I know it's running true, etc. So, happy days. Next up on the agenda is to tie the engine in. So we're going to make some countersunk bosses that bolt on the outside of here, and they're bridged with inch tube and a little fillet. The happy news, well for me at least, is that the digital readout's working. Yay! Thank you so much to Colin at CBR Electronics Limited. Check them out if you need anything like digital readout stuff, or what an helpful bloke. He sold me, we provided, I paid for a new reader head, this bit. So I've changed that bit, it plugs straight in, and then I had an issue with calibrating the readout, and he's helped me no end with that. So we are back on with a digital readout. I've ordered a dial gauge that fits on here, so if needs be I can go manual, I can go extra fine, and it's made me aware of the inaccuracy of me on dials. Fucking hell, you have to learn it, don't you? You have to learn your machine, your backlash and all that shit, but happy days, we're on with that. So let's get making these bosses. I've done a little sketch. I've done my sketch, look. They need to be that long, that diameter with them two holes in. Happy days times two. So this bit of stock I've been roughing out. It needs to be 25mm diameter, but I use this to set my DRO up. So it's a bit of a test piece, but it will more than do. It's more than adequate for what we want. We're set on 25. We're good to go with this roughing tool, I call it. Yeah, Josh Topper from Topper Machine, check him out. He put me onto using this setup for taking, well, he takes massive cuts, but I'm a smaller scale dude, ain't I? So it's great for doing what I'm doing right now. We'll take that down to 25mm, bastard, chips are hot, and then we'll look at boring it out and potting it off. Righto, so the end was already faced up. We're going to run a centre drilling to get started, dab a loop. Now would you believe I had someone comment, I found his comment disparaging, so I fucking deleted it, and then I wish I'd not, but it was on about everyone who uses a manual machine should know how to get a super accuracy by fucking dials and shit. And he said you want to slow your speed down on your lathe, it'll be kinder on your tools and you won't have such a mess everywhere with that oil. So he don't appreciate the lube, does he, boys? And to be fair, I'm running carbide fucking tooling on a machine that only goes up to 700 RPM, so I don't think that's a proper issue, like. Right, so we're going with a 12.5. Just, that weren't happy, was it? Get it started, and then I'm going to line the edge of the flute up with a job and do my scale that you can't see to 10. So I've got an idea of depth. So we're about here, look. That's good for me. Again, put a bit of lube on, and we want to go inch and a half. So if I go about 40mm, I'll be well clear. That'll be happy days. I'll run this in nice and steady away. I know. So we've got the old 3/4 4 flute 10mm that we're going to use. We want it 12 deep. So here's my scale. I don't know whether you can pick up on it. We've touched on there, and we're just going to wind the saddle back until we see 10. So it's pushing against the job but not cutting, and then we'll lock the saddle off. That was me bumping the stop, yeah. And we'll take that in 12mm. Right, fucking so a few mil at a time, nice and steady. Smoking up now, isn't it? And we'll keep looking at this scale until we get down to 12mm. There's just coming up on 8. Yeah. I'm just going to do a Johnny pullback on the foreskins, sanity check. Yeah, we're still on, nothing's crept, and we can lube it up again, because it's nice to pull it out and lube it up again sometimes, ain't it? That's 8, coming up on 10, see the 20 mark shows, there look, and then we'll go 2 more, another mark, which is there. And that's accurate enough. That's bob on for what we want. Let me get a bolt, hold on. So if I've done my fucking maths right, that's going to be flush when it's in there, and it's going to fucking have a bit of wiggle room when it goes through there. Happy days. Now we need to part that off. Let's turn it around, face it up. We'll break these edges first. So I'll just speed things back up. Like that. Break that edge. Ooh, steady on. With the best deburring tool in the world. And then break that edge. Happy days. Righto, so we'll spin this up and we'll just touch on the face, which is somewhere about there will do for me. We'll zero our readout that you can't see, and we want 40 mil. The tool is 3 mil, so we'll go 43. It's too far, Ralph, way too far. 43.25 I want, because I want to trim that 10th thou off the end of it. I'm just going to sanity check because of my DRO, and that's changed just over 40. So that is happy days. I locked my saddle off with my new improved saddle lock that you didn't see me fix. Same as I took the backlash, well, some of the backlash out the cross slide while it was in bits. Anyway, we'll feed this fucker in and let it do its fucking thing. Try and catch that, look. Come on, baby. Boom. Happy days. Sorted. Righto, so that's chucked up. Fucking cross slide stiff, hold on. I just did the brass nut in it. I'm using a long spanner to do something because I'm a bit of a spanner. So yeah, so just to take some of the slop out, like some of the play, and that has led to me having a slightly stiff screw. Anyway, touch off, move along, nothing to say. 2.5, 10th thou cut. And away she goes, Captain. Clean that end up, take it down to size. It's perfectly within tolerance. Get that out of the way. Break that edge. Break this edge. And that is one down, one to go. Now, I'll take the bolt wherever I fucking put it. Here it is. So I'll have a countersunk M12 through there, cap head, and that goes through the engine. This ain't the bolt. I've not got any bolts the right length. I'll use a bit of threaded rod to fit it up. I'm one down, one to go. Like, I'll make another one off camera, and then we'll get them on the motor. Righto. There's those two in place. I need to I've tightened that up, you know, and I'm not. I need to check I've made the countersunk bit on the outside. I've done that before and welded it all up and then took this off, and the thing's the wrong way around. Yeah, I'll be checking for that. But what I'm going to do now is trim up some bits of inch tube to bridge these gaps. There will be discrepancy there because the engine's that way a fucking bit, and I've not made this rail that way a bit. I've decided to keep it equal because I want plenty of clearance on the back here for the chain. So I don't want a narrow rail in there where the chain's in the way and this upright's awkward. Yeah, I've kept it equal. But that's all right, that's absolutely fine. I'll double check that I've not fucking bozoed these on, and then get some bits of tube sorted. Happy days. Righto, so there's those in place. Use words, Ralphy. Yeah, we will need a little filet fish out of a bit of 6 mil or something to finish that off, but I might leave that until I'm doing the other mounts and shit down here, because if I'm fucking about with plate, then I'll do it then, I think. So that means the engine's held secure, the cradle's made, if you like. We can turn our attention to the rear engine mounts and the swing arm assembly. Happy days. So there you go. I'm going to call it for this video. I'm just showing it, look. Stage 1 is complete. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you might notice a slight appendage that I don't normally fucking sport, and I'm not recording on it as we speak. It's actually linked to my personal phone. So, right, if you know me, life situation, family things and all that, then you know. And an offshoot of that is that I speak to my dad a couple of times a day now, which I never used to speak to him every fucking day. But we can't hear each other because of the workshop. He can't hear me or I can't hear him. Noise cancelling works, like I can be on the lathe machining away and he can't hear a fucking thing. He can hear my voice, but he can't hear any lathe noise, but I can't hear him, it's too loud. So we've gone for the Madonna. So I'm like a 1980s fucking executive swanning about the place, talking to myself. If anyone came in, they'd think I was a fucking nutcase. At least when you're on speakerphone, you can hear the other person, so it fucking, it like fucking justifies what you're doing. Anyway, enough of that. I thought I'd mention, of course, I know you'll be watching. I love you lot. I love you so much, Dad. And there you fucking go. It just leaves me, as always, to say thanks for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe and follow along. Yeah, give us a thumbs up. Check out all the bump in the description below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Lots of love, everyone. See you soon.